Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Degrassiism poll video. I've done plenty of poll videos, but this time I've decided to do something a bit different. Now, one of my original Degrassiisms was a Degrassi poll about the top, talking about the Degrassi mental health issues, and I named 8 of them and did a poll video. While listening to that, I famously did say that I screwed up, and other people um, asked for different mental health storylines and all that. So I put that in, but that was not a proper poll video. So I decided to change things up a bit and put this as the 2023 update to the top mental health storylines in Degrassi history. I did top 8, but I managed to do top 15. It was supposed to be like a top 20, but there were some storylines that didn't do well in voting. So I decided to change it and do the top 15. Now I did them in four polls. There were 3 polls with 4 and 1 with 3. So the polls from 13 to 15 had 97 votes, and there was a clear-cut number 13. But here we go. Okay, so number 15 on the list with 4 votes. Well, number 15 is Hunter's Season 15 Battle with the Feminists. Now, Hunter was not really the most popular character around. He was a Hollingsworth, and all of a sudden, he was, twins with Frankie, and, he bought oomph chat photos of the cheerleaders. And it's creepy because it's like, that's his sister, so he's buying pictures of his sister? Eck. That was not the biggest thing with Hunter. Season 15, or next class, season 1, if you will, he gets the Gamers Club. And it's kind of cool and all that. Unfortunately, Goldie and the feminists were basically not happy with Hunter and his gaming club models because they all look like women and you kill females. But Hunter said, no, that's just how the designer is and all that. It just came out wrong, but don't worry, we'll fix it for you. But the feminists basically do something, and Goldie says, how about we bowling instead? Well, Goldie was also the student president, if memory serves me right. Student class president. So anyway, she kind of got everyone all riled up and all that. So it didn't work out that way. Goldie had problems up the yin yang with some stuff, but regardless, Hunter got miffed. Hunter made some stupid statements, and the Gamer Club was canceled. Hunter was so upset with the feminists, he decides to bring a gun and go after Goldie and Maya to the dance. Fortunately, though, Miles saw him through a side entrance and stopped him. Fortunately, though, nothing else happened. But Hunter was forced by his mother to go spend a few weeks in treatment and all that for his problems. And Hunter gets out, and people, I think, are a little miffed that Snake allowed them to come back to the school. But I think that because it was an external affair with problem with Hunter, with the Hollingsworth, with Mrs. Hollingsworth and all that, that really it didn't mean anything to the school and all that. Of course, that would be the whole thing with Rick Murray, because it was an external affair, and he was allowed to come back. And of course, Mr. Hollingsworth is the mayor and probably put pressure on Simpson. Anyway, number 14 on the list with 19 votes in that vote was Esme. I'm actually shocked that Esme fell so low, but she didn't do well in the polls and all that. I can't remember. I think it was the top, I think it was 3 polls of 6 or something. Yeah, and then the top, guys, there were 4 polls. I can't remember how I did it. But anyhow, Esme dipped all the way to number 14, which sucked. So her mental health storyline had all her issues within the next class era. So Esme was introduced as this girl that looked Korean, and she was with her hair braided in a certain way, wearing sweaters and all that, getting easily triggered by people, and getting Miles into trouble for a few things. But she was manipulative AF, as she knew what she wanted. Esme showed signs of being a bit unstable. I mean, she told Miles that her mother killed herself in front of Esme, allegedly. So Esme's spooked by the gory pictures of Tristan after the bus crash. I mean, who can blame her? But Esme tells everyone that she's scared. Well, Esme decides to go with Sig, and that relationship was huge because Esme and Sig managed to find Maya after she tries to jump off the roof in Next Class Season 3. Of course, that will be talked about when I talk about Maya. But anyway, Esme felt great. You know, she's with Sig, and she helped save Maya's life. But unfortunately, everyone gravitated towards Maya, and Esme was scared that Sig was going to go back to Maya, and decides to go into a polyamorous relationship with Sig and Frankie. You know, Esme trying to hang on to everybody and all that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that well, and a few circumstances. Well, Sig and Maya went to the prom, but that was just accidental. Esme beats up Sig and gives him a broken arm, which he sports at graduation. And then Esme shows up at graduation with a motorcycle trying to keep Sig from breaking off with her. But Sig says, you need help and all that. Esme beats up Sig with a bike helmet. Miss Growl tells her it's not too late to admit you need help, and so she does, collapsing Growl's arms. Now, Maya did say that she needed to help Esme out because it was the right thing to do. And I think in a way, Maya did that because Esme did save her life, and Maya needed to pay it forward. I think Esme was, of course, pissed off that people were gravitating towards Maya instead of her, because Esme's like, I saved a life, I should be a hero. But no, they went to Maya, and Esme was pissed. Rightfully so. So, yeah, but Esme, we still don't know if Esme needed help or not. It was never shot at. Anyway, the winner of the 13 to 15 poll was Fiona's having the abusive boyfriend and her alcoholism. I say season 10 and 11 because that's kind of the era I did not watch it, but yeah. So Fiona had a boy named Bobby and all that and felt great, but Bobby kept abusing her, and then, you know, she thought she wouldn't get justice, so she decides to drink alcohol to numb the pain of what Bobby did to her. But she gets her trial. She almost botches her trial because of her alcoholism. She kept trying to get treated well, and of course Fiona felt terrible for everything. And the whole thing with Bobby was inadvertently responsible for making Fiona turn gay and, you know, find a relationship with Holly J and Imogen. Everyone agrees that the Fiona Imogen storyline was pretty cool, and I felt so too. Fiona, you know, wanted to be with Holly J, and low-key wanted to help Holly J in her struggles because Holly J's family was broke, they lost their money, and then Holly J needed a new kidney. And her birth mother said, fine, but you got to give me $2,000. And Holly J's like, why should I give you that money? And the mother explains that because she has to recover and she's going to lose her job and all that, and has 2 kids to support. So anyway, Fiona buys the mother's dress and gives Holly J the money, I guess in a way to try to make Holly J popular and like her. Anya does tell Holly J about Fiona liking Holly J, because, you know, I think Anya wanted to help, but it didn't go anywhere, and Fiona went with Imogen. So, yeah. Alright, so now we go to the 9 to 12 poll, and there was a clear-cut winner, but here's how everything goes. Number 12, with 2 votes in the 9 to 12 poll, was Shane. Now, of course, this was throughout multiple Degrassi generations. In Degrassi High, the early stuff, he impregnated Spike, and it seemed like he didn't want to be a good father and all that. Of course, Shane was trying to hide the pregnancy from his parents, and well, his father was an Anglican minister. And then the parents decided to ship Shane out of the way because they kind of figured that Spike's going to abort the baby or put it up for adoption. I understand that. They said that Shane will never have to deal with the baby again. And Shane basically says that it's just because his parents just want to go back to their normal lives and want to throw Shane under the bus. Shane says, let me try to help. And, you know, Shane's parents are upset. But Shane does give half his allowance to Spike. However, Shane reneges and decides to go to a concert. After the concert, he allegedly dropped to the ground off a bridge. He either fell or attempted to jump. We don't know. It was never established if that was what happened. But regardless, he's put into a hospital, and he goes through rehabilitation, and he's there at the Degrassi Junior High prom with a walker and with one of his friends, Tim. I think Tim was the one who kind of caused it with the acid. But anyway, Shane's been put into a home for mentally deficient adults and all that once had happened. I mean, Shane did come back for one episode of Degrassi High, but that was it. And then, once Emma is about to welcome her new sibling in the world in season 3 of Next Gen, she wants to know about her father, but Spike is of little help. She gets little help from everyone else and finds out through Snake's alumni stuff about Shane McKay being in Stoveville, which is a real city. And Shane McKay was played by Bill Parrott in the original series, but as an adult he was played by Jonathan Torrance, who was this famous guy. In fact, the funny thing about Jonathan Torrance is that he's the guy of Jonovision on CBC that actually had a Degrassi High reunion and sparked talks about a new Degrassi series. And they did it based off of Emma. So anyway, Emma talks to Shane and finds out about Shane's stuff and confronts Spike, who goes into false labor. Snake comes by and tells Emma everything, saying that, about the whole situation, and that, Spike's upset by everything, too. And Emma realizes she needs to help her mom. So she does. So Shane aside, Shane finds Emma's address and then confronts Spike, sending her into labor for real. But Shane does knit a sweater for the baby and does well. Unfortunately, that's the last time Shane is kind of mentioned in Degrassi in any shape or form, which sucks. How do you do that to an OG? Alright, number 11 is Sean with his potential PTSD in Back to Black. I don't know why I put Black to Black in the poll. Whoops, it's Back in Black. So anyway, the whole season 4 thing was huge. I've done several videos on that. I think it's the highest rated season. Anywho, so Sean doesn't get involved in the Rick situation in season 4 until he inadvertently causes Jay, Spinner, and Alex to rethink their strategy. After Rick does spray paint their cars, they want to go to Radich with the information, but Sean says not to because it might incriminate them. And then Jay said, yeah, that's right, we can't do that. So they hide everything from everybody. And then Sean ends up walking with Toby and Emma, seeing students flee. They don't know what's going on, but they keep walking, and there's Rick, ready to kill Emma for spreading his advances. Sean does the right thing by trying to calm Rick down, but Rick says he's at the point of no return. He points the gun at Emma. Sean wrestles the gun, and the gunshot goes off. And of course, Sean is not too pleased. Well, Sean is happy about being a hero, and it looked like he was shot because he had a bandage on his shoulder, but it was from residue from the gun. Because we found out that Sean ended up killing Rick with the gun while they were wrestling the gun and shooting Rick in the stomach. Sean relishes his job of being a hero in Back in Black. And then, he's happy about it. But Snake talks to him. Miss Dove tries to talk to him, but Sean won't open up. Ellie tries to talk to him, but he won't open up. And then he ends up falling off a jet ski at Wasaga Beach after meeting Tyler, the guy he deafened. And Tyler was upset that Sean just hit him and ran to Toronto. But we soon find out that his parents sent him to Toronto to, give him a better life with Tracker, his brother. So anyway, Sean feels guilty about a few things. And then when he goes back to his parents, he finally opens up saying that he may have killed a kid. And he felt terrible about it. But, Sean probably felt that the cops were going to go after him, but that can't be true because Sean would have been in jail, and the police would have gotten him before he would think about leaving for Wasaga a couple days after the tragedy. And I'm not sure if Sean thought something bad happened because he said, wait a minute, I talked to Jay, Alex, and Spinner about not incriminating themselves. But then again, it's like, how did he know that Jay Spinner and Alex were caused the paint and feathers and the shooting and Jimmy being shot? Obviously, that's debunked. Speaking of Emma, number 10 was her eating disorder in season 5 caused by control issues. Now, there could have been many mental health problems with Emma I could talk about, but I went with the eating disorder in season 5 because it brought Emma at her very worst. I know she was pretty much at her worst in the first 3 seasons by being a bitch towards Manny at times, and to many other people. But, you know, Emma in season 5 was attracted to Peter, but Peter put her best friend Manny in a bad situation, making Manny move in with Emma. And Emma says she's going to revenge porn Peter and help Manny out. But then she's enthralled by him, and, you know, she thinks he's a good guy. Then she decides to keep the relationship secret because she doesn't want Manny to find out. On top of that, she has to deal with Snake's treats with Hatzalakos and Spike kicking Snake to the curb, making Emma more responsible. And then Manny tells Emma that she needs to lose a few pounds and decides to do a regimen. Manny loses the weight, but Emma's not too happy, saying that Manny could do so much more. And Manny says, "You're scaring me and all that, and I can't do this anymore." So Manny may have told Emma about the weight loss plan, but she didn't force Emma to take control of the issue. So Emma was trying to take control. She was falling badly in school. She was having issues. Despite the fact that Snake did come back and Emma won that thing, Emma still had issues. Of course, her diary is discovered by Manny, who threatens to out Emma because of this. But Emma says, "Fine, I'm dating Peter. Are you happy?" And then everyone's just shocked she would be dating Peter in the first place. And, you know, Peter even thinks that Emma has some eating problems. So does Hatzalakos. But the fact of the matter is that Emma gets treated with an intervention, but then she blows off everybody, calling Manny a drunk girl, Peter taking advantage of a drunk girl, and blowing off at Snake for having the treatment with Hatzalakos. I mean, they're trying to help her, and, you know, why would she blow off at Peter? Well, I guess because of the eating disorder thing. You need help. She has a panic-induced attack, and she lands up in the hospital and vows to beat the eating disorder, which in decency she does. In season 6, she's still with Peter. It's accepted, but then Sean pops up in the picture and causes Pamela to break off, I think on purpose. Of course, the control issues, you know, as I always say in videos, could be led to the Rick situation because, you know, Emma had a situation which she could not fix and all that. She was in zombie Emma phase for a while too in season 4, so that should have been a red flag. That Emma finally found something she couldn't fix. And she still had the problems with the Rick situation. Somebody even said that Emma's issues had to do with the Rick situation. Because, you know, she had things she couldn't control, and then she was having problems and she never told anyone anything. So yeah. Of course, I'm not talking about Emma's lack of Emma being a clean girlfriend or a clean friend. That's different. So anyway, number 9 on the list is Eli with his bipolar issues. Now, Eli was dark early on in his career. In season 9, he was introduced as a brooding boy who lost a girlfriend and, you know, had a hearse called Morty. And then he crashes his hearse to get Claire to visit him in the hospital, but Claire realizes Eli's dangerous and decides to break off the relationship. Eli seemed to be weird and Claire attracted to Eli. But then Eli just had to see someone's body in season 12. And of course, that person will be featured later on in the ranking poll. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, he had issues and all that. Bullfrog, his father, helps him deal with his PTSD. And so does Snake. Snake says that, you know, I can relate. I saw a gruesome body too. Because Snake saw Claude Tanner's body. Is Claude in this thing? Yes, Claude's in this thing too. Coming up later on. But anyway, said that saw Claude Tanner's body. And Eli got better. Fantastic. anyway, you'd be thinking, okay, now when I talk about the 5 to 8 poll, it's going to go straight to Claude. Actually, no. Claude did not take last place in the voting. So number 8 was Paige and her panic attacks, season 6. So Paige, of course, early on in the Degrassi career would be the queen bee, trying to take Degrassi over and having the battles with Heather Sinclair. And, she was a confident young girl. And then season 5, she starts a relationship with Alex after being dumped out by Olander. Her season 4 thing with boys was terrible. I mean, Spitter was lusting after Manny. Rick was coming back to the school. Olander and her relationship, the relationship was terrible. And there was, and Dean got off scot-free with his rape on Paige. So the fact of the matter is that Paige seemed confident. And then Degrassi decided to use some college storylines in season 6 and 7, I guess, because they think that the roster's weak and all that. So anyway, Paige starts to suffer panic attacks at school. She's starting to lose control of herself. And of course, season 6 was when she thought she had HIV/AIDS from Griffin, who didn't tell her about it. But Paige, I think, didn't have it. So anyway, Paige just had her panic attacks, and she had to drop out of school and leave her tail between her legs. I mean, Paige could have easily got help or said something, but she's lost it. She became a fashion assistant and all that still. She still got something. But, yeah, she seemed to have control issues. And then, of course, season 8 is when her character assassination kind of happened in the movie. Degrassi goes Hollywood, and that Paige is asked by her boss, she is the assistant to a reality star, to try to get her the role in the Jason Mewes movie. Paige ends up getting it somehow, and of course acts like a diva, and then her world crumbles when everyone said that Paige's life after Degrassi was terrible, and she was just a dog walker. But she does help Manny get the role back that Manny was supposed to get, so Paige became better. Now we go Claude, number 7. So number 7 on the list is Claude. So, offing himself in Degrassi High was a high-risk move. Claude in Degrassi High was attracted to Caitlin. They both loved movies and both wanted to help the environment. So they go to an animal rights thing. Well, they vandalize it, but Claude leaves Caitlin high and dry. Caitlin has to serve community service. Claude tries his best to win Caitlin back, but can't. And also Claude's parents both don't want him, which is weird. So Claude decides to kill himself because he's had it. No one's helping him out. So he does that. And yes, we see by technology, 2023 technology, that we actually can hear the gunshot go off in Wellfish's class. Well, not in the classroom, but it was in the bathroom. Snake ends up seeing Claude's body and tells Radich, who's the VP, not the principal of Degrassi High, and, there were a lot of problems. There are talks about how to deal with these issues. And, a lot of things happen. So, anyway, Claude's death brought a lot to Degrassi High. There was talks about if suicide is a sin and all that, why did he do it? Did he do it to make Degrassi look bad? Possibly, possibly not. Joanne tries to talk some sense into people, but doesn't get much. She does get sympathy from Radich, who basically says that, we all feel overwhelmed. But the best thing to do is not to kill ourselves, because once we do, everything is over. So, yeah. And Caitlin was highly affected by it. Joey basically told Caitlin to snap out of it and said that, this is what Claude wants. Claude wants Caitlin to fall apart without him. Said that Claude did this on purpose to get at Caitlin. So basically, Caitlin calms down. And winning the 5 to 8 poll by a long shot. No, sorry. I'm skipping ahead of myself. Number 6 on the list is Wheels, with 21 votes in that 5 to 8 poll, losing his adopted parents to a drunk driver and then free-falling. So Wheels had issues. Well, if his adoptive parents. Well, we soon learned that Wheels was given up for adoption, but his parents did not like Joey. Wheels could hang out around Snake. They don't find any problem with that, but Wheels and Joey are not supposed to be together. So Wheels actually ends up staying home from a movie night and sneaking off to Joey's to play a session. When Wheels comes back, the cops are there. And Wheels is like, oh man, they called the cops on me. However, Wheels' grandmother came out of a police car and said that Wheels' adoptive parents died by a drunk driver. So Wheels is forced to live with his grandmother and grandfather, who doesn't talk. I think he has some kind of condition. But anyway, Wheels just had problems. Wheels ends up beating up Joey, saying that I should never have been with you that night because I would have been with my parents. But Joey says, you could have died too. That would have been tragic enough. Wheels unfortunately doesn't do well. He has fights with his grandparents. He can't grieve properly. He almost fails school, but they take sympathy on him. And then, Wheels vowed never to touch alcohol because of his parents being killed by a drunk driver. But by the time school's out, the Degrassi High movie came out in '92. He was a shell of himself. He was basically drinking. He was a good mechanic. He was going to move to Calgary to be with his girlfriend, Karen, and he was happy about it. But unfortunately, Wheels was intoxicated when Lucy asks him to drive her to get some chips at the cottage. Unfortunately, Snake crashes his car into another car, killing a 2-year-old. He's arrested for drunk driving and killing somebody. He feels bad about it. He wants Snake to help him out, but Snake refuses to. He talks to Joey. Of course, Wheels serves 9 years in jail. Snake still says that Wheels got off easy. And then Wheels finally came back. Well, he came back twice. If you're American, you didn't see this first time, but in the Degrassi Next Gen series premiere, there's a scene of him coming to the Degrassi High reunion telling Lucy he feels bad for what he did and he's trying to piece his life together. And Lucy says, you know what? I think he's legitimate. And then in season 3, when Snake goes through his leukemia problems, Joey takes him bowling and then they find Wheels. Snake doesn't want to talk to Wheels, but Wheels says, I did this horrible crime and I wanted to kill myself. But Snake, this is not you. You're better than this. And then Snake feels better, and the Sit Remedy actually does stuff. So Wheels, free fall, and that was not right. You couldn't properly grieve his parents' death. Anyway, number 5, the winner of this poll was Ellie, getting 70 out of 110 votes. So 7 over 11, so that's 63.6%. So Ellie, dealing with her mother in season 3, and then having issues in the season 8 movie. So basically, it was a continuation. So season 3, Ellie's dad, who is a colonel in the army, had to go to Afghanistan. Her mom doesn't take it well and drinks herself and sleeps on the couch. Ellie tries to help her mother out, also trying to do well in co-op, but her problems just keep going. And then she uses a compass. Yeah, compass. And ends up using the tip of it to cut herself. And she feels relief from the pain that she's suffering because of her mother's problems, and of course her dad being in Afghanistan. Paige catches Ellie and convinces Ellie to get help for her problems, and Ellie doesn't say much in her first thing with Sauve, but Sauve says you'll talk when the time is right, and I think Ellie gets her help and all that. She moves out of her mother's place because she can't deal with her mother's thing and moves in with Sean, and of course she's in student housing, but she's all by herself after Sean leaves for Wasaga and leaves her high and dry. But her mother manages to get her to live with her, saying that, I fixed the problems and you need me. And Paige and Ellie did. But then by season 8, she was a shell of her former self. She had a character assassination too, in a sense. She wanted to go after Craig, but Craig had a girlfriend, and Ellie, for some reason, decides to try to walk into the Pacific Ocean. But thankfully, Marco and Craig save her from killing herself. And then she finally deals with her problems and visits her dad in the military hospital, who was dealing with PTSD. So, yeah. So Ellie had a lot going for her. And now it's time for the top 4. 126 people voted in this poll. And actually, unlike the other 3 polls, there was no clear-cut winner. They were closer than you thought. Alright, so here we go. Number 4 on the list with 20 votes was Darcy Edwards. Was Darcy's season 7 angle. So Darcy was low-key introduced in season 4 as a girl that Toby pays to kiss Rick, part of the kissing bet, in which Toby easily beats Rick. So anyway, yeah, Darcy was allegedly supposed to be Jay's sister and all that. But they said no, can't have that way. It's weird how Jay would be a douchebag and Darcy would be this clean-cut Christian person. Of course, Darcy will be back as main character by season 6 when she has her relationship with Peter. And Peter manages to get Darcy to give photos to this guy named Adams. Kind of low-key not knowing that Adams was a predator. So anyway, yeah, so Darcy's with Peter. It's a decent relationship. Hatzelackles accepts it, being Peter's mother, but Darcy's parents don't. And says, you gotta do better than that. I understand Darcy's parents. Darcy manages to fake being sick and going on a ski trip with Peter and Manny. Unfortunately, she gets roofied as she leaves her drink unattended and someone puts something in it. She feels like she's had sex with Peter, but unfortunately she didn't because they were talking about putting stuff in people's unattended drinks. So Darcy just realized she got roofied, and she was upset about herself because she lost her friendship club purity ring because she had sex before marriage, even though that it was not to who she thought she wanted to, and it was to a rapist. Unfortunately, though that happens, she tries to kill herself by slashing her wrist in the shower, but Manny saves her from that. Darcy goes on a free fall. Darcy's parents don't know what's going on. And then Darcy feels scared after talking to Simpson about these things, and Simpson says Darcy needs help and needs to set up a meeting with Hatzelackles and Darcy's mom. Darcy is scared and blames Simpson for inappropriate conduct. Simpson denies it, but Hatzelackles says we have to have an investigation. Simpson's out. Emma yells at Darcy. Darcy decides to jump off the roof, but Manny saves her butt. I think Manny was blonde at that time. It was like, ugh. But anyway, yeah, Darcy decides to tell Simpson the truth, saying that she told everyone the truth and that Simpson was not inappropriate with her. And Snake said, unfortunately, though, they still have to do the investigation. And they probably think that I said something to you. So anyway, Darcy feels bad about herself. She tries to clean herself up. She goes to brat camp at her parents' insistence. Peter even signs himself up. And Darcy realizes she needs to yell at her oppressor. And everyone knows she got raped. And she doesn't, and she won't find justice. So she kind of does justice. And she does better. But by season 8, she ends up going to Africa, although Sinead Grimes was going to 90210, the reboot. And I still think her parents were behind this, sending her to Africa to atone for her sins and all that. Kind of awkward. Number 3 with 24 votes was Maya. I'm actually surprised Maya didn't win this. But there's a good reason. So anyway, Maya had her issues and all that. Now, I can't really spoil it. I guess I will spoil it. Number 2. So I'm not going to talk about her problems with number 2, the number 2 storyline, because that was connected. But I'll go more into detail when I talk about the one storyline that I think you probably know. But anyway, Maya had issues dealing with people and all that. After the person in number 2 killed himself, she felt terrible about it, but she finally lashes out, and then she ends up being with Sig. She ends up trying to be a feminist. She seems to be okay, good storylines. But then there was a bus crash at the end of season 2 of Next Class when some Degrassi boosters decide to go to a match with Northern Tech, and then they end up crashing for some odd reason. Tristan's in a coma, people are hurt, Maya's kind of hurt, but then Maya realizes that people around her might get hurt. So she has this stupid idea in her head, and she ends up going with Death Porn Messiah and says that maybe people are happier if I leave. So she ends up finding a bus randomly and decides to put on music while taking some medication that she stole from her mother. And, falling asleep and then never having to deal with her problems again. But she doesn't. After half an hour, she's still awake and she says, I'm doing something wrong. So she decides to jump off the school roof while Miles' play is on. Fortunately, Esme and Sig are on the roof and they stop Maya. Well, of course, the pills finally kick in and Maya convulses. Esme says, don't let her vomit. She could choke on her vomit. So anyway, Maya's safe at the end of the episode. You know, everyone visits her in the hospital, and of course that episode was controversial because the ending was Tristan and his voice machine wanting pizza, and they all leave for pizza and leaving Maya high and dry. Katie comes back and tries to help Maya out with her problems. In Next Class Season 4, Maya seems to be okay, but then when Sid gets hurt by Esme during prom, Maya can't help but feel responsible and decides not to go to graduation. However, Grace helps Maya deal with her problems, and Maya feels good about herself. Of course, there's no question what number 2 is if I keep saying the stuff about Maya. It's Cam. I'm actually shocked Cam didn't win. I wanted Maya or Cam to win. I voted for Cam. But number 1 beat it with 45 votes to 37. So anyway, Cam in season 12 was introduced as a member of a hockey team called the Toronto Icehounds that came from Capas Casing in Northern Ontario, 10 hours away, to play hockey. He was a major junior standout. If you're an NHL fan like yours truly, of course I'm wearing an NHL shirt, inadvertently of course. But, you know, these players go through major junior and then they can be drafted by the NHL team or maybe a team in the Southern Professional Leagues. But anyhow, Cam was a prospect, but then Cam started doing badly in hockey. Dallas was upset with Cam's performances, but Cam had this puppy love relationship with Maya, who he thought was cute and all that. Maya liked Cam, but then Sid kind of got in the way, so it was a love triangle. Sid gets under Cam's skin during a Spirit Week hockey event, and Maya does not defend Cam, saying that, you know, Maya could have easily said Sid started this whole mess by getting under Cam's skin. But I guess Maya, scared of the repercussions with Sid, decides to leave Cam high and dry. Cam gets suspended for a week. Cam tries to apologize to Maya for the problems, and Maya kind of accepts it in a sense. Cam stays over at Maya's house and then takes her stuffed doll Hoot and decides to take it back, give it back to Maya. While waiting for her in front of the school, Sid pops up and says, if you care about Maya, stay out of her life forever. Of course, that's the call of a jilted lover. Cam takes that seriously and decides to do something about it. So he breaks up with Maya, and then in the greenhouse, he kills himself. Eli goes to the greenhouse to plan a picnic with Claire and sees Cam's body. We don't know what happened to Cam. There's theories that he slashed himself with skates, being gory, or, you know, he hung himself. He could have done both. Or, as I say, maybe he poisoned himself with chemicals. I did a seed duel about it, saying that it's possible with the chemicals, and maybe he did slash himself under the influence of the chemicals. Although, it could be debunked saying that, why would they have chemicals within reach at the greenhouse? They probably would have had to store them somewhere safe. Now, of course, I would know about garden chemicals myself because as someone who worked a summer at a greenery, and also as someone who has to deal with soils at Canadian Tire for the past few years, I know about toxicity and all that, so I can understand that. Obviously, the children wanted to glorify suicide like 13 Reasons Why. Anyway, so Cam's death is told to everybody. Dallas is upset and almost jumps off the roof before Fiona saves his butt, saying that you have to live for Dallas and for baby Rocky. Ah, okay. And then, you know, people are upset. The hockey team members are upset they didn't see Cam's signs. And, you know, Cam was homesick. I mean, he's 10 hours away from home, for hockey puck's sake. Maya doesn't feel anything. She says she won't cry because he killed himself and broke up with her through text. I understand that. But Maya was hiding. She was really upset. And Sig was upset because he felt like he should never have told Cam these things and felt responsible. He even tells Maya he feels responsible, but Maya laughs him off. So yeah, it affected everyone, and especially Maya. Like, it took her years. She had a few years of problems, and her problems with Miles in season 14, you know, protecting him from trouble, all that was just a thing that she's envisioned Miles being like Cam, you know, jumping off the balcony and slashing himself. Maya doesn't say Cam by name. I wish she did, because it would have gotten her more sympathy than people just leaving her high and dry. But regardless, number 1 with 45 votes, and a shocker to me, is Craig, because of his issues in Next Gen. So anyway, season 2 starts with this episode, When Doves Cry. Emma is babysitting Joey's daughter, Angie, and, you know, this guy's taking pictures of them. We find out it's Craig, who is somehow creepily towards Emma and Angie. Joey's not upset and tells Craig's dad. Craig's dad ends up being very abusive to Craig, yelling at him for the simplest things and beating him up. He even beats up Craig's camera and gives him $3,000 for a new one. Craig decides to take the money and tell Angie, we're going to go to British Columbia. Joey's like upset by that, saying, don't come near my daughter again. What are you doing, Craig? But then Sean sees Craig playing chicken with a train, and fortunately, Craig doesn't get hit. But anyway, Sean and Emma decide to team up to tell Joey these problems, saying that Craig's dad is the problem with what's wrong with Craig. Even Angie pipes up with something. So Joey is upset. They have to find Craig. Emma tells them there's a clue because she goes through old family albums. And we soon learn that Craig's mom is Julia, who left the family to be with Joey. And remember when Joey said that his wife Julia was dead for a year in the season 1 premiere? That was why. It was Julia. So they were step-siblings, Craig and Angie. Craig wanted to hang around Angie because they were step-siblings. They find Craig at his mom's gravestone and promise Craig everything's fine. Craig ends up leaving Albert to stay with Joey for a while. Albert says he's fixed his problems, but unfortunately he didn't, and then he drives angrily and crashes his car. I don't think he killed himself on purpose. I think it was an accident. But anyway, Craig doesn't know what to do with his dad dead. And that he actually has contemplating feelings. Weird feelings. And then when he's named Luau King at the Hawaiian dance in season 2, he's shocked. But he thinks that he sees his father in the audience and hallucinates and tries to go after him. But he rips decorations and all that. And Raj tells everyone to stay calm because Craig has to get out of his system. Fortunately, Terry saves the day by telling Craig about the fact that losing a parent is not the best thing either. And so they bond. And I thought Terry and Craig would be a good couple. Nope, afraid not. Craig ends up being with Ashley and Manny in a love triangle, which Craig kind of loses out in. He gets Manny pregnant, but Manny aborts the child, and Ashley did not want to be around Craig. Rightfully so, but then she ends up being wooed by Craig. I don't know why Ashley would do such a thing. Ashley's better than that. But then in season 4, Craig exhibits some bipolar problems while being at Ashley's dad's wedding. And telling everyone that he's going to marry Ashley. But Ashley tells everyone, no, that's not true. Craig's just hallucinating. But then, Craig has issues. And then Craig stole Joey's credit card to pay for a hotel room, which he later trashed. And Snake says that Joey, I see some problems in him. Joey thinks, he's just being a teenager. But thankfully, Joey sees the problems. Craig actually beats up Joey, even though Joey wants to help. But Craig is finally diagnosed as being bipolar and all that. And Craig says, I don't feel a thing. And Ashley says, well, some people like that don't. But Ashley stays by Craig's side to help him. But at the end of season 4, she leaves for England, and Craig goes off his meds and lives in the boiler room at school for a while. But then Craig has his issues. He's a musician who takes drugs and then is helped by Snake to the airport to Calgary, where Joey is. Craig becomes a musician who Ellie falls in love with, but he has a girlfriend, but I guess he ruins his relationship and all that. So yeah, Craig really broke the mold. Season 2 was huge, and we thought Craig was perfecto. I would think so too. But anyway, yeah, so Craig definitely should be number 1. I mean, it was hard. When I look at the top 4, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Craig really is. And I still think he's kind of overrated. Not as much as I used to think when I did the unpopular opinion about him being overrated. But, times have changed. And hopefully things change with time. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching.